Okay, I made it out of there alive. Bloody midges, they're everywhere. I thought I was gonna have a nice, charming, idyllic breakfast, but apparently as did the midges, and they win, I lose. I'm leaving. I have not had breakfast. I'm gonna go try to find some other place that has a little bit less human eating insects, and yeah, try to have my breakfast there. It's 8:40, so I'm not even leaving that late, but clearing up camp while you have one hand swatting away flies at your knees or legs is, yeah, it takes a little bit of extra time. Alright, well, first to go fill up some water from the stream. First time doing this, not just getting it from a tap somewhere, so let's hope I don't get some awful stomach bug or something. But they say as long as it's a fast flowing stream that you should be fine. So this one was pretty fast flowing. So okay, I think this counts as fast flowing enough. I like right now. I figured I'm gonna have a granola bar. I don't know how long it's gonna take to get out of this forest, but yeah, these things are vicious. Figured maybe I'd show you my bike. It is no longer the cleanest, but it's holding up well. So I am off. 500 altitude meters, 30 kilometers to Vinstra. It's uphill to start with and then downhill. I have not had a chance to put on sunscreen, nor chamois cream. No time for that when you're being eaten. I've not had my coffee, so yeah, things are going great. And I am not ready to set off. I apparently didn't attach my shoe buckle or my shoe clip well enough. It started all the way up there, and now it's down there. It's crooked, and one of the screws is loose. So, great start to the morning. Okay, this morning is definitely more of a struggle. Maybe I just haven't had my fatty waffles. I haven't had any coffee, but I don't know, my legs are struggling. Okay, I caved. I decided to take one of these power gels, but I cannot recommend the citrus one. It tastes like cleaning liquid. No. And we are on dirt paths again. The gravel is gone. How is anyone supposed to cycle on this? It's uphill and the path is like 30 centimeters wide, and there are rocks on the path. Okay, turns out this is not the official route. This is just the route that I'd somehow planned in. This is all my fault. I have no one to blame but myself for pushing my bike through the forest. Well, fuck. Is there any way of getting across here without getting my feet completely wet? Whoop! I made it through, but this place is teeming with flies. Whew. Okay, let's get going. Hiking in Norway, you should really just bring wellies. Like, it's wet everywhere here. It's wet over there, it's wet here. It's gonna be wet up front there somewhere. White flowers, you know what that means? Bog. Someone built a chair here. I think you can wait a long time for this to dry up. So the main path goes behind those trees. And then somebody built an alternative path here to get out of the wet, and it's now wet. And here's yet an alternative path. I mean, at this point it's really just a pond. Come on, like, when's the last time anybody like stepped foot in that thing? I made it out. Note to self, next time I decide to take an alternative path, check Google Maps to see what kind of a path it is. So my knees are not very happy with me right now. I cycled through some of the more passable swamp bogs, and do you know how much torque you need to cycle in mud that's covered by water? Yeah, I don't know, a lot. I made it to the last peak of Mjölkevägen. It's just downhill from here. coffee and cake and carbonade. Here I come!
Blomsterpike på cykeletappe.
Hi, son. Alright, guess who came to meet me with flowers and chocolate?
Chocolate. Norwegian and Swiss chocolate.
I hadn't even noticed that. I have Toblerone and Freya. So this is Uncle Christian. So I owe him a coffee for paying for the boom. And Kjersti. So you can, I don't know.
Hello.
Hi there.
Well, we're gonna go grab something to eat. I am very ready for some coffee. Well,
That's
thank
good.
you. Just stopped by Zanzibar very briefly for some sandwiches and coffee and cakes and
Some calories.
some calories. It is 2 o'clock and I am setting off from Vinstra. My problem is there's no open yuku anywhere close by. All right, I am feeling pretty good after that lunch. I'd say the only constant is eating a lot of calories and a lot of coffee seems to make me feel better. So I guess continue doing that. So I figured I'd show briefly where I'm cycling. There's basically a huge river going down here. Apparently, according to Kjersti, this is, I think, called a wide valley. I guess it's quite wide, has a big river at the bottom. And yeah, the main highway goes behind that mountain there. And trying to stay off of that main one, E6, as much as possible. But this is quite good, not too many cars here. Big danger of elk. Or if we look at it the positive way, big chance of seeing elk maybe. Well, some vehicle has had a long braking distance here. It's like 200 meters of skid marks and they're curvy. They look exactly like the ones that they have on the signs. So maybe there was an elk crossing. Could be. You see what I see? It's a whole row of Ripsbusker. Now, I'm sure they belong to somebody, but nobody seems to be harvesting them, and looks like there's plenty. So I'm sure nobody will mind if I grab a couple. Nom 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 nom. A number of the farms around here seem to have their own chapels, so I feel like they must either be quite religious or quite well off here. Here is my old country road with hardly any cars. So we are in luck. Bunnpris in Otta is open. So let's see if they have an eat. It was a success. I got eat and a banana. Can't forget about banana time. They didn't have any like dry meals for dinner, but fortunately I still have a taco gryte. I figured I'd spice up banana time a bit with some Swiss chocolate. There is a distinct chance that I'm gonna absolutely crash in about an hour. So how do you think they get to the houses up there? I'm guessing they don't cycle. Internal combustion engines probably help. Or, you know, electric motors. We are in Norway after all. We are getting closer to Dovre. Bum 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 bum. I'm gonna need to go on the E6 a little bit to get to the campsite. So I put on my fancy yellow visibility vest. Everybody please see me. I made it to camp and it's just before 6 o'clock. Yeah, I'd say driving on the E6 was not my favorite. Lots of big trucks, although yeah, mostly people were quite respectful. So for tomorrow, my options are basically bad or even worse. The problem is we're expecting very heavy rains. They've issued storm warnings, up to 50 millimeters of rain per 12 hours. And there's also no particularly good route to get from here and onward north. The two options are either going over two mountains or taking the E6, which is heavily trafficked and has a hard shoulder of about 50 centimeters. And I just sort of can't imagine much worse than driving on a, you know, on the side of a very busy road in very heavy rain. going over the mountain passes. The first one is, they're both on gravel. The first one I think is probably okay maintained, and the second one I think is partly hiking routes. And so given my experience over the last 2 days, I think I'd basically end up just being stuck in the mud, and even waiting it out a day wouldn't, you know, the water wouldn't just disappear. I think it'll basically be mud for the next couple of days. So what I've ended up deciding on is I'll do part of the stretch to Oppdal tomorrow, 55 kilometers, 900 altitude meters. I can do that away from the E6. It's not a highway, but sort of busy road. And I've booked a cabin there, and then the day after tomorrow, there'll still be some rain, but not very much. I'll continue on from there up to Oppdal, or maybe even further north. But yeah, on the E6. So it'll be a bit of a shorter day tomorrow in pouring rain, which I'm definitely not looking forward to. But at least I have the cabin and can hopefully dry out my tent when I get there. So yeah, I mean, these days were bound to happen. And here's what my bite marks from yesterday and today look like. If you don't want to see them, then you can turn off the video now. Yeah, and that's just the one leg.